Greece, remember that we discussed Greece before, and we said that Greece becomes the center of innovation in the world because of three factors. The first is Homer, who is probably the greatest poet-prophet in human history, okay? We read the Iliad together. He also wrote the Odyssey. And these are the two founding texts of Greek civilization. The alphabet, right? They're now able to, using the alphabet, write down all their thoughts and quickly transmit their thoughts throughout time and space. The last, of course, is the polis, okay? The polis is their system of government, where all the citizens are involved in politics. And the polis, there's like thousands of them, and they're often small, like maybe 1,000, 10,000 people. But the two major polises are Athens and Sparta. And Athens and Sparta are both Greek, but they're different societies. In fact, they're nothing alike, okay? So let's go over why. Well, first of all, Sparta is on flat land, the Peloponnese. And if you're on flat land, you can use agriculture. But to use agriculture, you need slaves, okay? So Sparta became a war society that conquered the surrounding people and turned them into slaves, called helots. So these helots were, serfs, slaves, who farmed. And so Sparta became a war society based on military dominance. The entire society was centered around how to take young boys, turn them into great warriors, so that they could defend their land. Okay? The Spartans were also very conservative. Why? Because your concern is to maintain control over the helots. If you went over to conquer other places, the helots could rebel against you. Okay? And so, if you want to know what this place is like, think China. Okay? So it's very similar to China. And as a result of this system, Sparta was an oligarchy, meaning ruled by the few. So only Spartans who were born to both a Spartan father and a mother were citizens. Everyone else was not a citizen. So even your father was Spartan, but your mother was not Spartan, you were not a citizen. Okay, so there's a massive class hierarchy in Sparta, and the reason why is, for them, the priority was to maintain the status quo, okay? The Athenians are a different people. The Athenians don't have good farmland, but they have a good harbor, okay? So, and the territory around them, it's mountainous. So they can't really grow crops, but they are able to grow a crop called olives, okay? So they have a lot of olive trees. And so what happens is, the Athenians have no choice but to be expansionists, okay? So they develop a really strong navy, and they focus on trade and piracy. And that's how they sustain themselves over time. So whereas the Spartans are conservative, the Athenians are both open and expansionist. And also, what's really important to understand is that if you're a navy, you have to be a democracy. The rule in Greece is that if you fight for us, you can vote. You can speak in public. You can participate in politics. Now, Sparta was a land army with hoplites. Hoplites are elite soldiers. And as a result, they were an oligarchy, okay? Because only a few of them fought. But Athens was a democracy because it had a navy. In a navy, everyone could row, okay? To be a hoplite, you had to buy weaponry, you had to train for like decades. But the Athenians had a navy where anyone could just row, okay? And so they were a democracy, all right? And so over time, because Athens is a democracy that's expanding, Sparta is a land power. Athens will start to increase in power. Sparta will decrease in power. And eventually these two will come in conflict with each other, okay? It's something called the Peloponnesian War. Eventually, this gives rise to Thebes. And eventually, over time, these three states, Athens, Thebes, and Sparta, will reach an equilibrium, okay? So similar to the warring states, where they intermarry each other, and they use war as a way to resolve their domestic tensions, as opposed to try to conquer each other. And this gives opportunity for a new power to arise that was previously thought of as backward, poor, and isolated. And this power is called Macedonia. So what Macedonia is going to do is they're going to take all the major military innovations of Sparta, Thebes, and Athens to create the world's most powerful army. Okay? And what else they're going to do is they're going to recruit a lot of talent from these places. And then what's going to happen is that Macedonia is going to come and conquer the entire Greek mainland. The Macedonians will be the first to unite Greece. Okay? Now, who's doing all this? His name is Philip II. Okay? Philip II is probably the greatest military genius. One of the greatest military geniuses in human history. But we don't remember him because he has a son who's actually more famous than he is. And his name is who? Alexander the Great. Why is Alexander the Great more famous? Because Alexander the Great will take everything that Philip II built and he will use it to conquer Persia. Okay? And then what will happen is that as the system reaches another equilibrium, a new power will rise that will overthrow this entire system. And this power is called Rome, okay? Which we'll discuss next class, okay? So you see how this pattern works, right? It's a consistent pattern throughout human history. All right?